Today's video is sponsored by Infinite Lagrange, a new sci-fi space simulation PC and mobile game which allows you to build fleets of capital ships and explore the universe. Episode 6 of The Bad Batch reintroduced us to some familiar faces and left us with the most interesting cliffhanger yet. Who was that character right at the end in the hologram? We know it's a he, but who is actually hiding behind that tunic? And why didn't he say anything in this scene? Super frustrating. Just stands there silent. She does all the talking. It's like, come on man, say something. You're not an evil overlord, are you? Why aren't you talking? But anyway, I'm going to get into some theories on who that is later, as well as go through 19 details and Easter eggs you missed in episode 6, Decommissioned. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Alright, so at the start of this video I mentioned today's sponsor, Infinite Lagrange, a new large-scale space exploration game. Now, let me ask, have you ever wanted to create and upgrade a fleet of capital ships and explore the galaxy, conquering other fleets and venturing into the great unknown? That's the experience Infinite Lagrange sets out to create. You start with a small fleet of ships and eventually expand this into the first galactic faction, building and customizing bigger bases, which can also be moved to different positions in the universe. In the game, we have these things called Lagrange points, which are basically like hyperspace tunnels and allow you to jump between different solar systems. It's like the ultimate space exploration fleet experience where you have your fleet, you got your ships, they're all there, and you start with only a few ships, but as you mine for materials and upgrade your spaceport, you'll be able to add frigates, warships, battle cruisers, medical stuff, and more, and can customize all of these to your liking. You'll come across lost cities you can explore and learn of their demise, get into the game's lore, encounter NPC fleets, some friendly and others not so, and you can team up or face off against other players' fleets, and then sabotage them afterwards. It's the Jedi way. Infinite Lagrange is out now on PC and mobile, and you can download and play the game for free using the link in the description. Now, the episode is called Decommissioned for one main obvious reason. The droid armies that fought in the Clone Wars are being dismantled and are no longer in use. They've been decommissioned. However, it also loosely refers to the Bad Batch. They are also decommissioned, not working for the Empire like most other clones, and instead are spending more and more time in the seedy underworld of Ord Mantell, which we first saw in last week's episode. Now, this episode is the first since the show's premiere that we aren't starting in space. Every other episode beside the first began with the Bad Batch in their ship, usually at light speed, on the run. So it looks like they're finding a place to settle in this seedy backstreet gambling bar. That's what it looks like anyway. So instead, like I said, this episode we're starting things off at Sid's. The sign out the front actually says Sid's in Aurebesh, the Star Wars language, which we also saw last episode. And the two guys hanging out at Sid's being a little cheeky and placing bets on whether Omega's gonna hit the target using her new bow. One is a Weequay and the other an Ithorian. And these two guys also appeared in the background in Sid's during episode 5. However, that wasn't the first time we saw these two. They appeared originally in the Clone Wars episode Dangerous Debt during season 7. Trace Martez is held by a pike and kicks open the cell door to free these two who come to her rescue and escape. Somehow they found their way here, and it's a little Easter egg Filoni's bringing back for that reason. Now, Sid tasks the Bad Batch with retrieving a retired tactical droid from the Decommissioned Site on Corellia. The T-Series tactical droids first appeared in season 1 of the Clone Wars in the episode Jedi Crash, and they are of course used as droid commanders put in charge of droid armies and forces, so they're a lot rarer than regular battle droids and supers and much harder to come by, hence why the tactical droid in this episode of The Bad Batch is so valuable and why there's so many people after it. The Bad Batch discuss how tactical droids learned more with each battle they fought and are now valuable due to their knowledge of the clone army. Now, who would be after a droid which can defeat the Empire's clone army? A droid with that intel and that knowledge and that know-how. Sounds to me like the early days of the Rebellion and that dude in the hologram right at the end, who I'll get to in a bit. And planet Corellia, where the Bad Batch head to retrieve the droid, is a place we've become more familiar with over the past few years. Corellia is of course the homeworld of everyone's favorite, belongs in a museum kind of guy, Harrison Ford, as well as Han Solo, Kira, and Wedge Antilles of all people. And Corellia has been a Star Wars Legends planet for many years now, but we saw it for the first time on screen in Solo: A Star Wars Story, although it was kind of hard to see anything because of how dark this film film was. And I don't mean thematically. Sure, it had some darker moments, but man, this thing was hard to see. I mean, I don't really feel like I've ever seen Corellia because it was just all dark corridors and alleyways, and, you know, that's my experience of the place. Dark place. Now, as the Bad Batch are heading towards Corellia, they hide their ship on the side of another larger ship to avoid planetary sensors, so they say. And this is what we saw Han Solo do in the Millennium Falcon in Empire Strikes Back, hiding on the side of the Imperial Star Destroyer and then slipping away undetected with the garbage, and Boba Fett hot on their tails. In the Bad Batch, Echo even says,
"This old trick,"
which is a reference to Empire, even though obviously the events of Empire take place after the Bad Batch. Also, the ship the Bad Batch are hitching a ride on is a Class 4 container transport, first seen in Season 2 of Star Wars Rebels, so you might have seen that before, the big triangle. So these police droids patrolling the decommissioning site on Corellia might look familiar to you. Although we've seen police droids before in the Clone Wars, these droids here bear a striking resemblance to 9D9, the supervisor droid from Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi, that evil droid who took pleasure in dismembering other droids. That poor gonk. Now down on Corellia, Tech looks through his visor to scan the police droid's movements and to see if there's a way into the building. And in the visor, we see a bunch of Aurebesh writing and lots of ones and zeros on the right-hand side. Tech is actually a droid. There you go. You heard it here first. No, but I tried translating a bunch of the Aurebesh, and as far as I can tell, it's all just random letters. I couldn't find any words with any meaning, but you never know. Maybe there's some hidden message in here somewhere. I'm honestly always disappointed when there's nothing. Alright, so inside the decommissioning site, as far as I can see, there are only B1 battle droids and super battle droids being destroyed, lifted by these industrial arms, placed on conveyor belts, and then melted in the furnace. So if you spotted any other types of droids, please let me know. Didn't see any droidicas or spider droids or anything else. It was just B1s and supers. Here we can see Hunter has set his blaster to stun, which he uses to incapacitate the factory workers. You probably remember seeing the stormtroopers use this against Princess Leia in A New Hope. Same thing, same effect, same weapon setting. And then we meet this episode's surprise guests, Rafa and Trace Martez, who we first met in the second arc of Clone Wars Season 7. They lived on level 1313 of Coruscant towards the end of the Clone Wars and got to meet Ahsoka Tano, which I'll also get to a bit later. That is an important point. Now during this episode, we hear one of the police droids say this. This is also a reference to Empire Strikes Back and is repeated throughout other Star Wars media, but the protocol droid in Cloud City in Empire says this to C-3PO.
How rude.
Okay, so for what's this, like the 5th week in a row, Wrecker hits his head. And now it's actually going to be a big deal. And he's finally starting to react. The inhibitor chip in his brain is being set off, and he's about to start eating everyone. Wrecker starts muttering, "Good soldiers follow orders," exactly what Crosshair said.
Good soldiers.
And the words we first heard Tup say in the Clone Wars before executing Master Tiplar when his inhibitor chip malfunctioned and prematurely activated. Anyway, we get to briefly hear Wrecker's thoughts as he's lying on the ground struggling, and he hears Crosshair say, "Good soldier." So to me, this says he's piecing things together, knowing that's what Crosshair originally said, but why is Wrecker not telling anyone he's experiencing these headaches? Why hasn't he told anyone about his thoughts and the voices in his head? If you started hearing voices in your head, don't you think you should tell someone? Yeah, you know, might do you good. Otherwise, like I said, he's going to start eating everyone. So later in the episode, Omega's got herself into a bit of trouble, and she's trying to stop herself from being melted in the giant furnace. She grabs a battle droid's leg and hoists it up to Trace, and I didn't realize it was a battle droid's leg until I rewatched the footage and, you know, paused to see, oh crap, yeah, it's a battle droid's leg. There you go. Saving little girls. Now you might have also recognized Rafa and Trace's ship. It's a Silver Angel, which Trace built out of scrap parts back on Coruscant as her only foreseeable way off the planet where her parents were killed. Dark backstory on Coruscant these two sisters have. What am I, Yoda? I'm saying things backwards. Ahsoka came aboard the Silver Angel during the Clone Wars when she helped the sisters ferry Sansana Spice aboard the Angel from Kessel to Obadiah. So they're still running with the same ship. It's pretty cool. They're, you know, she's still running. She's still flying. Now here's possibly the most important detail of this entire episode. This astromech droid here aboard the Silver Angel is R7. Ahsoka Tano's R7. So what's R7 doing with the Martez sisters? Well, following the destruction of the Tribunal at the end of Clone Wars Season 7, Ahsoka and Rex salvaged R7 from the wreckage, and at some point would have had to meet up with the Martez sisters and gifted them R7 for her probably to assist with the ship that they're flying, the Silver Angel. So we know the Martez sisters have been in touch with Ahsoka, which leads me to that ending. Who was Rafa speaking to in the hologram? The mysterious silent poncho/robe wearer. Who is this here, and why the heck did he not say anything? Well, there's a few people we have in mind. We know Rafa and Trace were trying to retrieve the tactical droid in an effort to fight the Empire, meaning they're working for someone in the early days of the rebellion, right? To me, this would indicate Bail Organa is the man behind the robe. We know he played a huge role in the early days of the rebellion, but what's strange to me is that Rafa almost menacingly tells the man in the hologram they had help from a squad of rogue clones, and she knows where to find them. Thought you might want to know. Why does she say it like there's something we don't know, like there could be a darker purpose here? For me, this statement rules out any chance of the hologram being Saw Gerrera, as he's already encountered the Bad Batch and doesn't seem to, need anything from them at the moment. So this seems to be someone who'd be interested in meeting the Bad Batch for the worse or the better. What are the intentions of the man in the hologram? And if not Bail Organa, then who else might this be? Honestly, as soon as I saw the poncho robe, I thought of Calamari Kestis with all his poncho customization options. He's only a boy at this time though. He's, just after Order 66. He's still freaking out, screaming. Jeez. Another theory is that Rafa is speaking to Captain Rex, and he's just wearing a robe for some reason. This would also make sense for the sisters' backstory, as, they obviously know Ahsoka, and now they have her droid, so it's possible she got back in touch following Order 66, and that Ahsoka and Rex are working together to try fight the Empire and find others willing to help their cause, and that's who the Bad Batch are. Also, we know Rex is going to appear in the Bad Batch at some point, as he made a brief cameo in the trailer. So we know the Bad Batch will eventually reunite with Rex, it's just a matter of how we get here. Now, it's also possible Bail Organa is working with Rex and Ahsoka to form the rebellion, and it is in fact Bail, but he has contact with Rex and Ahsoka. And a couple other theories, this could be Maul, although I don't really see him wearing this kind of robe. But we know Maul isn't thrilled with the idea of the Empire, and he's probably currently busy with his Crimson Dawn stuff, so maybe there's something to do with that. And then there's also the Obi-Wan theory, but I really don't think Obi-Wan's going to be involved. He's too busy babysitting Luke and chatting with Qui-Gon. Alright, so who do you think is in the hologram? And were there any other details and Easter eggs I missed? Let me know in the comments. And for more Star Wars The Bad Batch, you can go watch one of these videos here and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and join my Discord for lots more Star Wars gaming, news updates, everything you want and need. And thanks for watching this. My name's Andrew. I'll catch you soon.
Stay bombastic.